Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be doing another versus type matchup video. Now this is a special one. This is going to be a revisited one. I want to give my updated thoughts after everyone else has done videos on this now, basically. Who would win between, my opinion, anime's greatest character, Goku, and one of North America's, or North American comic books' greatest character, DC's Superman. Alright, so once in a while I get people asking me about this matchup and who I think would win without them realizing that I was pretty much the first person or one of the first people on YouTube to do a comparison between these two and do a who would win type matchup between them. It was an original idea I just kind of came up with. It's something that people debate, this kind of thing, and yeah, so the video was published 2011 in December. Since then, Screw Attack has done it. Many other people on YouTubers have done it, and kind of just given their thoughts on who they think would win between these two. So I think it's funny that out of all the different, this character versus this character type of matchups, this one right here is probably the biggest, or one of the biggest. It's one of the biggest argued. It's one of the ones that people talk about the most and kind of give their thoughts on. So I decided what I would do is I would kind of give my updated thoughts on it after everyone else has kind of done theirs, and just touch on it really quickly again in this video and stand by my decision. If you guys saw the original video, it's in the channel. If you just type in Goku versus Superman using the search tool, you will find it. Basically what I said, or my opinion on it, is that Goku mud stomps Superman. Do I feel the same way 3 years later? Yes, I do. And for basically the same reasons. Now, Screw Attack they're pretty much the biggest. Now they're not just one person. They're like a whole I don't know if I want to call them like a company or just big channel, that kind of thing, that does a lot of these versus matchups. Most of them are ridiculous. It's like Vegeta versus, I don't know, some Pokemon character or something stupid like that, and they try to rationalize it. For me, I try to stick to ones that make sense for versus matchup type videos. Batman versus Superman, who makes sense, who would win. Goku versus Superman, the most popular one of any of the ones that I've done in my versus matchups. And I will get back to doing more of these again, because I do think they're fun to do. People seem to like them, and I get people requesting every so often. I'll get somebody say, hey, Trev, you got to do more versus matchups. There's so many you could do. You could do, I don't know, Wolverine versus, I don't know, Iron Man or Captain America or somebody like that. Or, there's lots of different types of choices you can go through. But this one for me is like, for some reason, I look at it as the best matchup because, number one, you never see this actually occur. There's no way to know for sure. They wouldn't agree upon, if they did a crossover or something between Toriyama and DC and did like a comic book series or something, would they ever be able to come to terms with who would win? I really don't think they'd be able to. DC would be like, no, Superman is Superman. Of course he's going to win. Toriyama's like, he may fold, but I'm sure that he knows that his character Goku and his evolution, he would see later on Goku in his later years in Dragon Ball Z, let's say, as being more than enough of a match for Superman. So that said, yes, Screw Attack did say that Superman would take Goku. And, I mean, that's the rationale. You can watch the video if you want to see the rationale they used to come to that conclusion. Me personally, the reason why I think Goku mud stomps Superman is because Goku is, now it depends which stage you pick. If you pick Goku when he's a kid, yeah, okay. And Superman when he's an adult, yeah, okay. Yeah, Superman would win. If you pick Goku when he's later on in his evolution, Super Saiyan level 1 or past, where let's say their power levels, if you want to compare Superman, if you want to give him a power level, let's say, in equivalent of the Dragon Ball universe, which Superman fits in really nicely with that universe because he's an alien, because he's got these kind of extra abilities and stuff. He's perfect for a Dragon Ball type universe, let's say. If we were to give them similar type power levels, let's say, put them on the same kind of scale, within, let's say, I don't know, a few 100,000 on the scale, meaning like, you have Frieza and Goku, their power levels over 1 million, that, this kind of thing. If you were to say, okay, let's say they were at like, close to each other in terms of let's say 1.5 million or 2 million or something, if Goku just went Super Saiyan and they went full tilt, against each other, and Superman was, around that type of level. Because Superman's evolution through the comic books too is crazy as well. You have all kinds of different versions of Superman. You have different writers putting him at different, like amounts of strength and different, pre-crisis, and you've got all kinds of different versions. But let's just look at it as like your basic normal Superman, not the one that has ridiculous powers or anything. I love how many powers Superman has, like the one Family Guy skit where he like throws the S on General Zod, and General Zod's like, what the heck was that? He's like, I don't know. He just throws an S on him, because it makes basically no sense. The amount of powers, they just keep adding and adding and adding. Goku's kind of similar in that way too, right? So let's put them at a reasonable type of range for each other, because you can go crazy with either one. You could argue that Superman is the most powerful in the universe, and then in another standpoint, you could say, well, Goku became a god in, Battle of the Gods. So you can do that all day long if you want to say, so let's put them at a similar type of power range, okay? Now, my question for you is, who out of the two is more practiced? Who out of the two trains harder, trains more to develop their fighting skills, and who's out stopping a train from running off its tracks, or a plane from falling out of the sky, or these types of things? Superman is the type of character that he takes himself responsible for basically all of these different things. So if a volcano is going to erupt and destroy a city, Superman will get in there and he'll stop the rocks from the volcano from, he'll try to save the people of the city, whatever the case may be, in any way he can. This has been established, how many years ago? Like, there's the old, Superman cartoons that are barely animated, or stuff like that, where initially that was mainly what he did, is this kind of stuff. So it's well established that he's spending most of his time doing things like that. Whereas Goku, we don't usually, if he sees something like that occurring, he'll help out, definitely, he'll do his thing. But he's more concerned with the macro of saving the planet, saving the universe. He goes off to Namek, a totally different planet, and you've got, of course, Frieza, who's, eventually blows up the whole damn thing because he's so powerful and Goku can't stop him. But, that he's more concerned with the macro, getting himself to become good enough so that he can defend the Earth. He can be the defender of the Earth from characters like Cell, Boo, these types of uber-powered characters that are going to just destroy everything or do whatever the hell they want. Now, Superman has some of that as well, too, but I definitely say if you look over their history and you look at the characters in terms of which direction they would go in, Goku is the type of character that he's more concerned with development of becoming the best that he can be in order to stop these types of situations from happening. Whereas Superman, yeah, he'll do some training, he'll do some different things, but he's not studying martial arts from the same kind of angle that Goku is, of constantly getting better, constantly going to world tournaments, constantly learning under new masters, trying to master his skills, becoming the best he can be, and add to his skill set. Superman doesn't do that. When you watch Superman fight somebody, or you watch him try to stop somebody, what does he do? He flies in, he uses his super strength, he tries to punch the crap out of him, right? Let's say boxing, I guess you would say, in terms of technique, because you got to consider, if they're on the same scale in terms of power, then technique is everything, right? Technique is going to come in. Technique is going to be what determines who wins this battle, basically, if they're on the same kind of power scale, right? Which they should be for the sake of this discussion, So, Superman is very simplistic in terms of his fighting. The amount of skill that he uses in fight. Have you ever seen Superman throw a high kick? Have you ever seen Superman, I don't know, use jujitsu? Have you ever seen him do anything aside from just punch somebody in the face? Or use some of his special power, laser sight or whatever the case? No, never. He almost never does that. He almost never is using any kind of other advanced martial arts. Now, you could say he can read through a book and memorize the whole thing within a second and he'll know all of it. Well, I've never seen him use it. I've never seen him use any of it in any of the things I've seen with Superman. Comic books I've read, animated TV series that he's been in. I have never seen Superman do anything but this. And then, that's Superman, or throw guys around. That's what he does. That's all he does. Whereas with Goku, you will see him use about as many different types of techniques as you could possibly imagine. I mean, the guy's got counter after counter after counter after counter. He'll throw high kicks. He'll throw low kicks. He'll use throws. He'll use He's got even more techniques, with, of course, the laser sight with Superman. But, he's got the energy blast, Kamehameha. He's got instant transmission. He's got all these different techniques that he'll go ahead and use at different times. In addition to that, his studying of martial arts, it's established that when this guy's a kid, he is in martial arts and he is training with the world's best, trying to become the best in the world tournaments and everything, as you have all these different styles of martial arts that come together, similar to, I would say, probably mixed martial arts. Goku is a master of all of these things, and then he'll go on to the next one. He'll learn under King Kai. He'll learn, these different skills, and he'll constantly add to himself to improve himself as we go through Dragon Ball Z, to the point where when he becomes Super Saiyan, this guy, I would say, has mastered probably every martial art on Earth and is starting to learn ones when he returns, when Mecha Frieza comes down to Earth later on. You have the whole Trunks, and the Android Saga starts. He's even learning from aliens, from other planets. He's learning, all he can to improve himself to the highest level, right? Constantly trying to improve himself. I never see Superman do that hardly at all. I mean, there's so many years of Superman comic books out there. Yes, you can probably point to something in the last 80 some odd years that Superman has done here or there to improve him. Yeah, of course, because there's so much material. But I wouldn't say that's a common character trait of him, that he is trying to constantly better his technique. Never. That's not what he does. He never does it. So in terms of, if you have two characters, or even two people in the real world, where you have one and they're on the same kind of, let's say, I don't know, strength. Let's say they're of the same kind of athletic ability. Their strength is similar. Their size is similar. Their speed is similar. And you have one that is constantly learning new techniques, constantly improving his skill. And then you have another that's a power puncher. Give them a few extra abilities. I'd say laser vision gets canceled out by Kamehameha and any kind of energy blast easily. I'd even say Kamehameha would overwhelm laser sight, this kind of thing. Their speed is somewhat similar. All these things are the same. And yet you have one that is learning every technique on the planet and practicing them all the time, because it's one thing to read them in a book. It's another thing to go out and use your body and practice and train these different techniques all the time. If you want to talk about real world martial arts, I would almost guarantee you that 99% of the time, the person who is training all these different techniques and getting better in every different aspect of martial arts is going to mud stomp the person who is similar to him, but yet just as a power puncher, doesn't really pay much attention to fighting style, fighting techniques, or learning, right? Is more focused on just, I got to go save this, I got to go save that person, but is not bettering themselves all the time like the other is, and learning these techniques at a superpower type scale. It's still, technique overwhelms, any differences, slight differences in power. And like I said, we put them on the same kind of power scale for sake of argument. Because you can go either one. You can say Superman post-crisis is this powerful, blah, 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 blah. He can move a planet, whatever the case may be. And then on the other side, you can say, well, Goku becomes a god, so he could destroy a planet if he wanted to in about 5 minutes with a big Kamehameha, right? So you can do that all day and night. But if you put them on the same power scale, based on the character traits of one that does not work on his technique, the other that is obsessed with developing the best technique and learning the most martial arts he can possibly learn, who out of those two would win? I cannot do anything but conclude that Goku absolutely, positively mud stomps into the ground Superman. That's all I have to say. Take that, screw attack. That's it for this video, guys. I'll call it here. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, as always. Saying peace.